Hey everyone, this is Steve Wright and Jordan Reasoner with SCDLifestyle.com, and you're listening to the SCD Lifestyle Solution Podcast number 8. On the phone with us tonight, we have our friend Matt from naturaldigestivehealing.com/blog. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Cool. Well, I think we were talking before the call, and with Thanksgiving coming up right now, I think tonight we're going to talk a little bit about our holiday experiences and family gatherings, how they went for us, and maybe you can learn something, the listener out there, from our experiences. I guess to get started, I know that when people are listening to this call, everybody's kind of in a different stage in the diet. They're eating different foods. And I know for myself, one of the first couple family gatherings I went to, I was, still in phase 1 and phase 2 foods. And I really wasn't comfortable having people make food for me yet. So, now, a year later, when I go to these parties, I don't necessarily bring all my food with me, and they go a lot differently. So what I was kind of hoping is that all three of us could kind of talk about our experiences, maybe our first family gatherings, how they went and how we got through them, and then we'll kind of progress to give people kind of an idea of how we deal with them now. Matt, let's hear your perspective. I mean, what was your first holiday party experience, and how did it go?
Well, I'll back up even just a little bit further than that. My first Thanksgiving meal in July 2008, after this flare-up July, in November 2008, after this flare-up started, I spent on the couch running to and from the bathroom, and my wife made this huge, big, beautiful meal. The international students we invited over didn't show up, and I ended up going to the bathroom at least 13 times that day. I didn't eat a thing. So sure, it was that next summer that I started the SCD. And my next Thanksgiving dinner was much more pleasant, even though I had to do a lot of the cooking myself because, like you, Steve, I was not comfortable having my family cook for me yet. I didn't phase in the diet the way you guys did, but I had already been on it for maybe 5 months by then, 4 months by then. So I made all the food myself. I cooked the turkey, made sure it was SCD friendly. I made a squash puree with all the pumpkin pie spices, some butter and honey. We made all the steamed vegetables and everything, and my family loved it. Of course, they had bread and they had their own dessert and things like that. But I made the lion's share of the meal, and they were happy to do that because it was a way for them to help engage in what I was doing to try and regain my health. And my dad and I spent a lot of time in the kitchen together during that Thanksgiving, and my mom in the evenings and I would cook together. So I was basically in the kitchen from 10 in the morning to 8 at night cooking all things, and my family would rotate in and out with me and help me cook, and it was a great bonding experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been for me until now, maybe in the last 4 months, where I've been able to share that kind of same shared experience. Where it's a bit different because my family is still a bit traditional, I guess you could say. Hopefully, this doesn't offend people, but the women do all the cooking, and they love it, and it's their time to bond, and the guys go do their thing. And it's only been in the last couple of months where I've kind of tried to cross the boundary and be a part of that cooking experience with the family. And when I say with the family, I'm talking about like 3 to 4 aunts and grandma and mom all in the kitchen. So it's kind of a big ordeal at my place. But yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about with it's actually a really quality time when you're in the kitchen together with your loved ones and just working together at a common goal. So I love it.
Yeah.
Jordan, how was your first family gathering or Thanksgiving?
Well, as you know, I've talked a lot about my anxiety and fears about going backwards on the diet that I struggled with for a long time. So I was really, really freaked out about going to other people's houses and eating food that they made, even if it was, SC league or whatever. I was just totally freaked out about it. And I wasn't enjoying myself at all thinking about it. So I actually ended up just bringing like a normal meal my first couple of holidays. And then even last year I did too, where I just like brought whatever I had leftovers from the day before, like chicken and squash and cucumbers and some fruit or whatever, and I just ate that. And I think the big thing for me at that point was I just wanted to enjoy the time with my family, and A, not have to worry about feeling bad, and B, not have to feel scared about running to the bathroom and feeling sick in front of my family, which was a whole new experience for me from the years previous when I was always a sick guy and I never felt good, and my family always looked at me with that sort of comforting sort of sympathetic eye that I hated, and so I finally got to be the guy that felt good, and I was happy about that. So I didn't really concern myself with the engagement of the food creation. And then it's hard. I think this year I probably would have been more open to doing something like that, but as you guys both know, and maybe some of the listeners out there know, my wife and I just had our second baby, and she's 10 days old today, and everybody's doing well, but I just wanted to say that I think we're going to lay low and have a little, just the four of us this Thanksgiving. So I've got a nice little meal plan just at our house with, I'm going to bake like a 13-pound turkey with I've got like a marinade I whipped up and soak it a little bit, and then I'm going to stuff it with some cool veggie concoction that I made with some squash and some cucumber and some other things, just to see how it tastes and experiment and have some fun. So I guess I haven't taken that leap forward yet to really engage in making SCD food with my family outside of my close-knit, my wife, but hopefully maybe Christmas we'll have some time to be able to do that. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I definitely can resonate with you, Jordan, as well, because my first couple family gatherings were of this year were like Easter was kind of like the first huge one, but my family does kind of like a semi-birthday party for everyone in the family every other month. So I'm always going to these big get-togethers, which always revolve around food. And the first couple I went to, I definitely brought my own meals and kind of had to work through that. I thought it was awkward for me to, they kept asking me, why won't you eat this food, and what's wrong with our food, and other people were just generally concerned and interested in the fact that I was bringing my own food, because they never knew that I could cook. So that was all, they kind of thought of me as one person, and here I was surprising them in all different kinds of ways. So, but I just wanted to kind of build off of that and maybe go more into what happened and what you guys have experienced with, talking with your family, your extended family members about eating at these parties, because I think you could follow along in my journal that's posted on our blog, but that Easter, this past Easter, was the culmination of the biggest 3-day derailing of me on the diet, in which I had minorly cheated out at the bar with some friends, and then I was feeling crappy, and then I got to the party, and I had my food in the cooler. Like, I literally had it in my cooler, but I was just in a horrible state of mind in which I was disgusted with myself and not feeling well as well because of the cheating. And then I got I just couldn't deal with the people who were asking me these same questions, and they weren't trying to be mean. They were, probably just generally trying to understand what I was doing and why I was eating my own foods. But I just kind of had a mental breakdown halfway through the party, and I ended up just gorging on, all my grandma's home fixings, and it tasted great for about 30 minutes, and then I paid double the price afterwards. So, I mean, Matt, have you, how have your interactions been with your intermediate family members and kind of talking with the diet?
My family are conflict avoiders. So some of them don't even talk to me about it at all. They just sort of look at me and they know what's going on and they don't need to ask, which sometimes is a little weird, and sometimes it's really comforting because I don't have to monopolize the conversation. One of the big problems for me is I don't want to be the topic of the entire day's conversation. My health, my gut, my food. Let's talk about something fun. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about life. My cousin just had a baby. Let's talk about that. How's the kid? So I feel your pain, and it's a different symptom, but my family is very very intuitive in that they feel people's pain, and they want to understand, and they want to help, so they ask a lot of questions. And my dad's sisters especially are wonderful at asking questions, but sometimes, I just say, I'm doing fine, because I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to know how they're doing. I want to be normal for a little while. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, because of that and that feeling, I almost have like a standard statement or the same rendition I give to people everywhere, family members and work members. Did you come up with something like that, where if you're just not in the mood, you kind of have like a standard line that you figured out kind of works to diffuse the questions?
I do. I have a different one with family and a different one with friends, and then one that I use for people that I just met, But the one I use for family is I say, okay, I'll tell. If they say, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Or my favorite, I'm sorry that I have to eat this in front of you.
Oh, no.
So they don't leave. They just continue to slop cherry pie. But I say, okay, I'll tell you, as long as I'll tell you, but we have to talk about you next. Or I'll tell you, but what I really want to talk about is Jessica's baby, or something like that. So that's usually what I say when I don't want to talk about it. And then I say something, Pat, like, I've been doing really well. The diet's helping. What about you? How's your life?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's a great idea.
what do you guys do?
When I'm fielded those questions, and after about the third or fourth person in the row that asks the same kind of question, my kind of default answer is always something along the lines of, this diet has done amazing things for my body, and I feel so much better than even a year ago, that don't feel sorry for me, because the food that you eat makes me feel bad, and the food that I eat makes me feel amazing. So, and then just kind of leave it at that.
That's a good way of putting it. And my short version lately has been, when they say, how are you doing? Are you okay? How's your diet? I say, I'm running a marathon in 2 weeks. And that sort of just ends the conversation. It's kind of nice.
I'm going to have to use that, because I did do that sprint triathlon a couple weeks ago, so maybe I'll put that in play here on Thursday.
Yeah, congratulations first, and yes, it works. Hopefully it works for you.
Thanks.
But I don't want people who are listening to know that we always put people off. That most of the time, I'm okay with talking about it. I've been reconciled to this for 2 years now. I've been on the diet for 16 or 17 months. And I'm okay with answering questions most of the time. But like you said, Steve, after it's been a long day, a lot of family, a lot of interaction for an introvert like me, sometimes I shut it off, And those are good ways to shut it off. I like your ideas.
Yeah, you too. Jordan, what's been your experience there?
Well, I use a lot of your lines, Steve. All I have to do is eat certain foods and I feel amazing, and usually I'll end it at that. But I think one thing I wanted to add is, first of all, I'm always really positive about the diet change and how the diet change equals me feeling amazing, and that usually helps, to be positive and just sort of move on to something more positive. But if they really keep pressing, something that Steve and I have both shared personal stories about, between each other before, but if they really keep pressing, I usually try to put it back on them, because if they're really pressing hard, like maybe it's somebody you haven't seen in a while or something, if they're really pressing hard, it's usually because there's something going on with them and they want to know more about how you got better. And so a lot of times I'll spin it and go, well, what's going on with your health? Like, how are you feeling? What's your biggest health challenge right now? And a lot of times it ends up being that they're just not pooping right, and they don't feel very good, and they just realize that it's not normal to go to the bathroom 10 times a day, and they don't know what to do. And that's almost like their way of asking you about it, and you just have to sort of pick up on it. So I'm always pretty positive initially, but one quick tip is if some of your extended family or people you don't usually talk to on a daily basis, if they're really digging and really trying to get more details from you, there's probably something more there, and they're probably kind of behind the scenes asking you to maybe give them some help or some advice, and maybe find a way to share some knowledge. So just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's an awesome tip that I forgot about, because I gotta admit, I don't know about you guys, but pretty much every social gathering in which I haven't seen people for extended periods of time, or family gathering, I now talk about poop. So most people are pretty skittish about talking about digestion and poop at the dinner table, but I gotta admit, over the last 6 months, I don't think one of these times has gone by without eating food at the table and just ended up on a 15-minute poop rant because one of my friends or family members just aren't feeling up to par. So
I've become the resident gut and diet health guru in my family, where everybody comes to me with their, I feel like I should have a couch for people to lay on.
Yeah. Have either one of you guys ever dealt with maybe like a loved one who kind of like takes offense to the fact that you're not eating with the rest of the family, or you're not eating the foods that the rest of the family is eating?
No, I've not dealt with that.
Okay.
I think I have in a way. It never got negative, but you could tell that they were sort of offended, because we've talked about this before, and I can't remember. I think you were on the call with us, Matt, but a lot of people in your family, they give love through doing things. They give love through serving. So by creating a feast for you, that's the way that they show their love for you. And so if you can't participate in that meal, they almost, on a deep level, they sense that you're not accepting their love and you're rejecting it, and it hurts them. And some people deal with it better than others. But like, I know my grandma sometimes, like, she just tries really hard, like, well, what can I give you? How about this? How about this? How about this? How about this? And it's like, no, I can't eat that. I can't eat that. I can't eat. And you go through this laundry list of like 20 things before it's like, it's okay, Grandma. Like, I have my own stuff. You can give me a hug. Let's love me some other way. Talk to me about my new baby, or let's find a different way for you to love me. And I actually say that. I say, let's find a different way for you to love me today, because it's not going to be through food today. And
that's really good insight.
You could take it to a whole new level, and like, I know Steve's done this with his family, where you just say, well, let me show you what you can make, and we'll create this meal together and share this love together. But in my case, a lot of times, I just say, let me show you how to love me a different way today. And that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's really powerful, Jordan. That's a great insight. So, what's been your guys' experience with, do you get the family members who like are really into it, and like they end up like pulling you almost away from the party for a long time, and they're really maybe they're just not necessarily looking to solve their own problem, or maybe they are, but they're just really into this cool new change, and they're really loving the way you're feeling, and none of us are the sick people anymore. We're not in the bathroom the entire time. How do you guys deal with those situations? Because I found that in my first couple family parties, I was just so excited in the first couple of people who really asked like more than one or two questions. I was like, wow, they really want to know about this diet. And I would just like vomit SCD all over them, and just like gloss their eyes over, and it ended up being like a 45-minute to an hour conversation. And then all of a sudden I'd look around and I was like, man, I missed out on a lot of the family time, and all I did was just like really like toot my own horn for like 45 minutes. Like, hey, have you guys done that?
Yeah, I did that, and I still do that sometimes, especially because I'm such a geek that whenever I learn something fun, I have to tell everybody about it. So I actually enjoy those times, and I'm much better at one-on-one than I am in a large mixer, even with family around. So if somebody wants to be really interested, I'm all about it. But I do try and make it a conversation, a two-way street. But it's difficult because when you get excited about you're feeling better and this diet's really helping, or diet probiotics and I found a new supplement and this and that, you end up talking a lot. And I try and catch myself and say, Matt, are you talking too much? But otherwise, I really enjoy those situations. It's fun.
Yeah, I do enjoy, obviously talking about the diet, and I'm kind of like you. Like, I get like a kid in a candy store when I learn something new, and I think everybody should know about it. So I do tend to ramble, but I guess what I was just trying to make a point of is saying that I guess I've been there, and I've almost talked it to a dead horse or something, in which I kind of almost secluded myself and the person away from the family party, and maybe missed out on some good times because I was too busy rambling. So what I've kind of done is I try to make sure that when they're asking me questions, like, I keep my responses to like just the question, and I don't allow myself to get off on crazy tangents, and instead I'll kind of spin it back to them each time, so that I really can maybe get to something that they were actually curious about that I'm doing. So, like, if they ask me, like, what foods are you not eating or whatnot, and instead of really going on a long tangent, I'll just kind of blatantly say, I don't eat grains, starches, dairy. I personally don't eat legumes, but et cetera, et cetera. And and then I'll try to turn it back to them and be like, is there like a food that you don't eat, or is there a food that you really love that you couldn't live without? And then I kind of try to educate them, because some of the stuff that we've learned, and I've learned through the allergy testing, is that if somebody has like a food that they can't live without, like, a lot of times that's a food that you're allergic to. For me, that was basically ice cream, and so it turns out dairy really kills me. So it makes sense, but.
So I'm curious if we can stop here and say what takeaway points can people take to their family Thanksgiving meals at this point in the conversation.
Yeah, Jordan, you want to go first?
Sure. I think the big takeaway is, first of all, do what's going to make you feel the most comfortable. This new diet, this new lease on life, you're going to be feeling much better, hopefully. And at this point, it might be your first family gathering where you're feeling good. So if you need to bring your own food to enjoy yourself the most, then do that and be proud of it. And just think about the fact that this might be the first family gathering in a while where you feel good and you can be present and enjoy yourself. If you're ready to maybe engage your family and try to make some food with them, that's always a good option too. But I really just want to encourage people to be confident and be strong in bringing your own food. And if people are offended or upset or confused, just say, Grandma, when I eat this food, I feel amazing. And, let's figure out a different way for you to love me. What can I do? Can I help you clean? What can I do? Let's do something different this time. And just make it work. Just enjoy the event for once, not feeling sick.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess what I would add, just to build off of that, would be say that you are at the point where you've decided that you're not gonna bring your own food to the family gathering or to Thanksgiving. One thing that I've kind of found that works and helps for me is if you know that you and, say, mom and grandma are cooking, or whoever the cooking people are going to be, is to, maybe tonight or tomorrow, or at least before the day of, send them the recipes that are SCD legal that you're going to make together, and really bend over backwards to make sure that they're informed about what is in the recipes and what is not in the recipes. And if you know that you're going to be using maybe some things that are like typically you might find in someone else's household, but it's not SCD legal, such as like garlic powder or something, and you're going to use it in the recipe, make sure you bring your own, and just realize that the people that you're going to be working with and your loved ones that you're going to be sharing time with, they don't have your knowledge, and they don't understand a lot of the tenets of the diet. So as much as you can do to keep them informed and take care of the little details that could be a problem for you by bringing your own small things, I think it makes it go a lot easier.
That's a good idea. I do the same thing, except in a little bit different way. I make sure that my first Thanksgiving on the SCD was last year in 2009. And I did what you said, Steve. I sent my family all the recipes that I wanted to cook, and they love to get the food beforehand because they want to make sure that their son, their nephew, their grandson doesn't starve. And so I said, well, why don't we go to the grocery together? We'll get to hang out. Someone else can watch my kids. I can get a little time away from the kids. They feel like they're stealing me away. So we go to the grocery together, and it's kind of a fun bonding experience. And we walk slowly, and we take a list, but we walk all the aisles anyway. And it's been really good. It was really good last year, and I look forward to doing it this year with my in-laws. So I echo what Jordan said, and it's sort of sad that he said it before I did. But the thing that I have to add is that you can make this into a bonding experience with your family. If you have a good relationship with your family, then use that to capitalize on it. Spend some time shopping. Spend some time in the kitchen with them, and let them love you in ways that they can. But I think the longer I'm on this diet, the harder it becomes, unless I'm conscious of the fact that I've been on the diet a long time, the harder it becomes for me to explain it to people who've never heard about it. So it's important to remember, if you've been on this diet for a while, what it's like to first start it. And if you're first starting it, remember how confusing it was, and give your family the benefit of the doubt when they want to cook for you. So.
Yeah, and I want to jump back in and jump out of turn and say a fourth statement, but I just wanted to kind of, if it's possible, I just wanted to tell people that, while Thanksgiving is about food and everything we talk about is food, just as much as you can, be present with your family. Enjoy the time with your loved ones, like Matt was talking about. If you can incorporate the food in the diet, like we've talked about tonight, into the atmosphere, that's really great, and that's a great way to do it. And if you need to be one of those people where you have to minimize it and eat your own foods, then that's okay too. But just the point is that you're getting together and you feel good. Like, this diet has done good things for you, and you're able to spend better quality time with your family because of what you're doing with your diet. So
that's a very good point. Thank you.
So I just wanted to kind of just tie that back together, because I know I get so wrapped up in food, and my family's so wrapped up in food that sometimes I overlook the little things, and using, I guess, don't feel sorry if you have to use some things that we talked about tonight, our little tips for not answering questions and whatnot, because it just expect it to happen, I guess, and it's okay. And don't feel bad about it. Just continue having a good time and enjoy the party.
Can I add one more thing?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what I never did, BC, before colitis? I never took the time to just stop and appreciate being around and being alive and being well, being happy and having good people around me. And now I think what you said, Steve, resonated to me because, and what you said, Jordan, about being present is that, so whatever you do, whether you have to bring your own food, whether you cook or shop with your family or not, or let them do it for you, the point is to be present because the day is for Thanksgiving. The day you feel, if you feel good because of the diet and you haven't felt good in a long time, man, it's a good time to just sort of pause and say thank you. Thank you. I feel really good. Thank you. You know?
Yeah, that is the best point of the night. And I think actually with that, I think we should just wrap it up. I think
Okay.
we've talked about a lot of stuff for the family parties for now, and I think hopefully you guys listening will get a lot of value out of tonight. I guess just to wrap it up, tonight on the phone we've had Matt from Natural Digestive Healing /blog.com. So go check out his blog. He's got some great insights over there. And I really want to encourage anybody that's listening out there, please go into the iTunes store and rate our podcast. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Well, actually, send us an email about what you don't like, and we'll address it on the next show. But if you're listening to this and you're thinking about starting the diet, you're looking for a little more guidance, I would encourage you to visit the blog more often and also check out our ebook. We got some cool new bonuses that we put together for everybody out there, and you can check that out at www.scdlifestylebook.com. So thanks for listening, and this has been the SCD Lifestyle Solution podcast number 8.